Coming to you live from Smokehouse.
Smokehouse.
It's waiting on fries.
That's really our intro?
It might be. I don't know.
Waiting on fries. You don't get it? You don't. What do you mean you don't get waiting on fries?
Hopefully the customer never hears waiting on fries, but all this time on the entree and it's perfectly executed, and then you're like,
ready to go.
I forgot to fire the fries.
I just always use that when I forgot to put somebody's order in, and I was like, hey, I'm just waiting on the fries. It's going to be 2 more minutes. Realistically, I come back 10 minutes with the food.
Exactly. They just know that their food's not there and the server said they're still waiting on fries.
I guess we're just waiting on fries.
Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I
was talking to the people out there.
Oh, all right.
It's a beautiful afternoon here. We're sitting in the center of Smokehouse. What's
For
that
sure,
code?
not afternoon.
Just's here. What's the code where they order the food and they
The
get the
promo
discounts?
code to get 10% off
Yeah,
when you
what's
order
that?
online at shtailgate.com because we're the presenting sponsor of this show.
Come.
It's Smoke Squad.
Smoke Squad. 10% off. Holy hell. We're talking to a guy today.
We are talking to a guy today.
We're talking to a guy.
An entrepreneur of sorts.
He's definitely an entrepreneur of sorts. And he knows his way around a bar.
Look at that.
And he's got killer haircuts. And
That is important in this business.
I don't know what else we got for him. But we're talking to Josh. We're talking to Josh today, as everyone knows himself, McLovin, in these streets. Hey, McLovin.
Hey guys, pleasure having me.
No, that's it. We're going to talk more to you in a little bit. But first off, let's really cut to the chase here. I was just at the Yonkers waterfront. For those of you listening abroad here, it's a place in New York. It overlooks the water. It's close to the city. And I must tell you that it was lawlessness out there. Everyone's running around, no masks whatsoever.
Oh, geez.
They're just getting drinks, walking around freely on the streets with it. There's not one police officer in sight doing anything. No masks are required. We're there. We're getting ready to open. Nobody cares about anything.
You got to make sure Papa Cuomo doesn't find out and get down there.
Yeah. I hope not. Look at Florida, too. I think Florida just started reclosing some of the places that just opened as well.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Did you see, though, like Cuomo has made a couple of tweets regarding people not behaving? One, he retweeted like a picture of a crowd where there was too many people gathering and not social distancing and not wearing masks. It said, don't make me come down there.
No.
That's why I'm calling him Papa Cuomo. He's like New York's dad.
Papa Cuomo.
That's not a meme?
No, it's like
It's
he
definitely a meme
tweeted.
by now.
He tweeted, "Don't make me come down there," and a picture of all the people. And then the best was, I think it was yesterday. He did a mask demonstration where he
Showing you how to put on a mask?
Yeah, where he showed you put a mask, and basically ridiculing anybody that didn't know how to do it. So he put it all the way on, and he goes, "This is a face mask," and then he pulls it down, puts it around his chin. Said, "This is a chin guard," and he goes, "Nobody told you to wear a chin guard."
The guy's funny. You got to give him a lot of credit. He is funny.
That is kind of funny.
And I know everyone's sick of talking about pandemic. Everyone's sick of talking about COVID. We're working on getting things open. I've got an assortment of emails from my prior or current job, really, right? Asking everybody to come back. I just walked into Smokehouse right now, and the people would be delighted to hear how many precautionary elements you've just installed into this place.
Yes,
I see hand
would be.
sanitizers.
Everywhere.
They're branded. They say Smokehouse all over them.
But why is that? Because Gary Vee says...
Gary Vee says branding's number one.
Branding, I think, is number one. We could probably talk to McLovin about that in a little bit as well. Sorry, Josh. I'm just going to refer to you as McLovin always.
But we don't want to talk anymore about coronavirus.
No, I think we're over that.
We're past that.
Over it. 2 episodes full talking about all that stuff. I don't want to hear about this COVID-19 anymore.
So
Done.
now then, how are we getting the business back, right? What do we have to do? Instill new marketing techniques? Do we have to go twice as hard on the Instagram and the Facebook? And
That's one way, but also think about like seasonality and way to incorporate things that are going to be around into your menus. You know what I mean?
I'm kind of looking at what are the new marketing techniques that we don't even realize are there yet. Okay, we've been doing. I don't know if we're skipping a whole trend or not. I know that the social media marketing came up real fast and hot, and like people were using Instagram and sponsoring ads on Instagram and sponsoring ads on Twitter, and even TikTok's got some sponsored ads in there now. But I think coming in, we're gonna start looking. I have this weird, maybe it's a hot take or whatever, but I think we're gonna go backwards in marketing. And like the guerrilla style of marketing, like remember back in the day when someone was trying to promote a club night or a bar night or whatever, and you'd come out of your class and there's like a million flyers posted all over everybody's windshield.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that guy was usually the same guy.
Who's got all the flyers?
who's got all the flyers, and it was like always on. You always knew where it was going. I feel like that style of like guerrilla marketing might be a little bit on its way back.
I got to say, too, that it works. I'm sure maybe I've said this story before, but Wednesday night, Black Bear, we started doing, what was it, dollar beers or something? Do you remember this, Josh?
Yeah, no, we used to do dollar beer mugs and 2-for-1 beers. And you were the king of the guerrilla marketing.
So we printed up flyers. We went straight to WCC, that's Westchester Community College here. We tagged every single car in that parking lot with flyers for Wednesday night. Now, we were just a little bit too late in doing it. We did it the day before. We didn't really have a turnout that week. The next week, the place was busier than it ever was for dollar beers.
Yeah, no, I remember those days. There was a point where your Wednesdays were growing, and what you were selling was catching up to a couple of other nights. Mind you were selling dollar beers on that night, so it was actually it was crazy once you had the build behind it.
And the funniest thing, too, is some of the other bartenders would come in and they go, how are you making money on dollar beer? And I go, we're in a bar. You think somebody's tipping me 25 cents? You know, we're getting
true.
dollar on a dollar. That's 100% right there. I'll take that, right?
100%.
And that became the loss leader, and they made their money on the shots at the end of the day, which
Yeah.
made everything up. But guerrilla marketing is fantastic. But the thing is, you have to have somebody that's willing to be out there and hit the floor running.
You got to actually do it.
Totally.
I think a lot of it is going to be hidden inside of social media too.
In which sense do you mean hidden?
So I think it's become apparent when we're getting hit with an ad on social media, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Almost to the point where you just
Keep scrolling.
kind of scroll it. You see the sponsored thing on the top. If it's someone you follow who's throwing a sponsored post up, you can almost always tell it's off brand or off their normal posts.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you'll know when it's a real post and all of a sudden it's a sponsored one, and it just has that feeling. I'm starting to see a little bit, and a little self-loving here, but starting to use a little bit where people are. I did not mean that on purpose. Zing! Giving myself loving. People are starting to quietly use influencers to get. I don't want to say influencers, using local people, maybe not that have hundreds of thousands of followers, just someone that might be known in the local market. That
Yeah,
maybe has
absolutely.
like 2,000 followers, but a high engagement within the community, and saying like, dude, why don't you come by? I'll get you a drink or I'll get you whatever, make a few posts here and there, and then, just come hang out or whatever. And then that happens. I kind of seeing that happen a little bit, and I'm putting my feelers out and kind of using that. And that's like a new guerrilla tactic, right? Because
sure.
you're getting real people that you're actually going to talk to, have them come in, you have an actual conversation. And I'm not talking about bloggers either.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just normal
like
people.
actual person.
Just normal people that
Yeah.
just happen to have a that they're just, I don't want to say popular for lack of better words, but
But
they're
they have a following.
They have a little bit of a following, and again, to build on what you said, that's kind of like the newer age of kind of like the sort of guerrilla advertisement via social media,
Right.
for sure.
Another thing that you do too, Just, that I don't want to say it was ahead of the curve, because it was something that existed that faded after a while. We talked to Ryan Vandal before on one of the episodes, and he was saying he was like 15 with a wrapped truck. He wrapped his truck at 15 as he was running around DJing, through the community. And at that point, wrapped trucks were everything, to the point where eventually it was like you don't see as many wrapped cars, wrapped trucks anymore. And then a couple months ago, Just goes, yo, I bought a truck, I'm wrapping it. And now that thing is a billboard right outside the space at the end of the day.
For sure. And I actually just drive it around aimlessly sometimes just so people will see it.
You should.
It's not aimlessly. It's advertising.
No, I mean with no purpose.
No, I understand.
Like I'm just, hey Mike, I'm gonna go drive the truck around, take a few laps.
Take a few laps.
I don't know.
It would actually be great too if your delivery guy was on the insurance and he had a clean
No, they
driving
are.
record, of
Come on,
course.
I
He was
covered
driving
my
that thing
tracks on
around.
that. Yeah.
Are they delivering in that truck?
Of course.
When we tell them to. Some of them don't really want. It's bigger.
Scared of
Last
driving.
few times I've gotten delivery, it's been in the truck.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
But
start
why
getting
not? It can't go on
deliveries.
It can't go on parkways, which is a downfall.
Yeah, commercial.
Yeah, so
commercial
the-
vehicle. Yeah,
So to make it some of the local deliveries that we shoot up and down, it makes it a little harder. But if anywhere that like right around here, we take the truck.
yeah, for sure. It's essentially a billboard.
Yeah.
I'll say that right before we came in here, you want to touch on the guerrilla warfare tactics here. Right before we came in here, I got a message from a taco spot in Scarsdale. And I had to approve the message request because it's not somebody that I'm following, not somebody that's related by friends with me either. But I opened it, and of course the first thing it says is, "Hi, Justin, comma." So I know that it's the automation of hi, insert the first name that Instagram says. Like if you got it to your Smokehouse account, it might say, "Hi,
SH.
Smokehouse," or whatever the first name is. And,
Tailgate.
And those things, though, I'm wondering how many people realize that that's something that's automated versus how many people respond to it not knowing that these are automated tactics that are being used.
I feel like most people catch that nowadays.
You would think. You're also savvy.
I mean, to be honest, like a lot of people pick up to build on what you were saying before, Justin. A lot of people pick up on the phony ads, and if you're scrolling and you just see it naturally pop up through a friend's Instagram, let's say a product, a drink, food, whatever it may be, you're going to be more inclined, I feel, to go ahead and look into the product versus if you see sponsored content where it's like, okay, these are all facing this way and it's a little too neat. Yeah. So that's where I think the disconnect is. I do think people pick up on that to a degree.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with what you're saying. Like if your friend gets behind a product, you're much more likely to give it a shot yourself rather than if you just saw it pop up. You know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
Totally. And, you talk about all these marketing techniques and things that they're using to automate the process, to make the process easier, and to save time also. I'm big on automation. I don't like doing work by hand manually. I like setting something up, investing my initial time, and then afterwards letting it work for itself so I don't have to be there. Years back, I got fired from a place. We don't have to talk about why, but regardless of that, I said, all right, how am I going to make money now in this moment while I'm trying to look for another job? And in that moment, I decided I was going to build an Instagram account, and I went from literally 0 followers to a height of 24,000, 26,000 area. And it was a classified system that we put together where artists could sell their artwork. And they would send me $1.39 every single time that they wanted to post their art as a classified. And I would take it, I would post it up, and next thing you know, you've got 300 artists through the month that are sending me money to post their stuff. And not only that, but guys were sending me emails saying, I'm so grateful this is here. I've actually sold pieces of my art this way. And they don't get the Etsy fee, they don't get any fees like that, which was really cool. But to build that, I used a lot of these automated systems that, restaurants and guys that are in this industry should be looking at using. And those are finding your followers using these programs that exist online. Yeah, you maybe have to pay $50 a month or whatever it is, but you're not out there doing it by hand and you're putting in your own parameters.
So are you finding followers that will engage though? Or are you just finding, because there's a lot of misleading stuff.
Correct.
I get a DM every day, at least one DM every day. You get thousands of followers just by doing this or whatever. But
those people aren't going to engage with your posts, and
we've all heard about ghost followers
Correct.
too, and all that stuff.
Correct.
The most important thing is engagement, not so much followers.
Agree, and I'm very with you on that. And I will say that a portion of the art for sale followers on the account that I built there, this account no longer exists, were ghost followers because Instagram put in some new parameters and it eliminated fake accounts, and my accounts dropped heavily. And I said, oh, those were all the fake ones that got picked up through doing what we were doing. But what you're speaking on is literally just buying followers where you could say, here's $50, they're going to give you 5,000 followers or whatever it is, and they'll just pour in throughout the month. What I was doing was I built a system that would automatically open up and click for me on Instagram's website and find people that were using hashtags of artist, paint for sale, things like this that would apply to finding artists. Then I needed to find the buyer community also. So I had to target different hashtags that would find buyers. That way I could actually get people selling their stuff, right?
So you had a higher chance of engagement based on picking up on interests.
Completely. And I think that you can apply the same technique here in this guerrilla warfare that we need to be doing to find new clientele and customers into our bars by searching not hashtags, because that's going to be a nationwide search, but more so searching location-based tags.
Location is huge.
It's totally huge because your followers here are built in now. Yeah. If you tag the place across the street that already has a big following, just go follow all their people. It's essentially knocking on their door and saying, hey, I'm the guy across the street to the place you just were. Yeah. Why don't you give my food a shot?
I find
it's piggybacking.
I find the best thing that works is sometimes I'll take half an hour, whatever it is, pull up the account, take a hashtag New Rochelle, hashtag Mamaroneck, or or maybe a nickname, hashtag Sound Shore,
And then
whatever
just
it might
follow
be.
all the people that are using those
Yeah,
hashtags.
not follow, because I don't selfishly, I don't like all these people on my feed, because you follow all these people
and then it's like diluting.
and then
what
it's
you actually
diluting what
wanna see.
I want to see, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to follow specifics within the industry, and I don't need to know about everybody's second year, their kid's second birthday party and everything like that. I mean,
makes
it's
sense.
good,
No, that's
but I
fair.
don't need to follow it.
That's fair,
But
yeah.
what I'll do is at least like every single picture that shows up.
I see.
Then they see Smokehouse, why Smokehouse? Okay, they click, and then they can either follow or not, or I might comment on the picture.
Yeah.
Right, because then they see it that way.
I think adding that comment guarantees you a little bit of engagement.
Yeah,
especially for
they're at
somebody who
least
doesn't know your
gonna
brand.
look at the profile.
Absolutely.
If you comment on somebody's picture, they're at least gonna what's this comment? Look at the profile.
Yeah.
Or even at minimum, just give you that really friendly, okay, Smokehouse Tailgate Grill said this. Okay, I'm at least going to give them a like.
Give them a like or something like that.
That helps out the algorithm, but that's always a curious thing
Algorithms.
about this hive mind that is like social media, that is like Google and everything. The algorithm is constantly changing. So I remember, Jay, when you were starting a couple of social media platforms, when you were starting a couple of social media platforms, the thing.
The phones are ringing because we're in a goddamn restaurant. What do you want? You got no owner.
This is real life. This is real life.
No
This is
owner
real
in
life.
his mind is angry about the phones ringing right now.
This is Guerrilla Radio.
Yeah, this is
right
Guerrilla
now.
Radio right now. Not to quote Rage Against the Machine, but this is exactly what we're doing. But yeah, I remember just you teaching me a couple of techniques that were all the way back from like 2016, 2017 about you follow a bunch of people, like a bunch of their photos, you unfollow, and then that's how the algorithm pushes you up. Now it's completely changed. So it's kind of like a weird game that's being played in that, okay, you're finding ways to exploit the algorithm, then the algorithm gets ahead of you, and it's a constant back and forth. So you really got to evolve with this kind of the social media platform.
What? Oh, I thought you were happy there was a phone ringing. It stopped ringing, and you looked at me like, it's over. It's over.
I had to itch on my nose. Sorry.
Josh, you're 100% correct. And it's not only just Instagram. It's not just Facebook. It's Google, right? Google AdWords. These guys that actually do this as a business and get paid to do this and put websites to the top of the rank. These guys are always having to operate and evolve what they're doing because Google keeps changing the algorithm so people can't just cheat the system and get ahead. And I think it's right to be able to do that because you don't want anybody really just gaming something to be at the top for no reason or an unwarranted reason at that point. And that leads me to something that you do constantly that makes me want to punch you in the face every time I open up Facebook. Josh understands this, and I don't even know if he does it on purpose or not. But he will comment on every single person in his feed's post to the point where they're aimless comments. There's no point of it whatsoever. Somebody asked, do they know where I can find anything? Underneath, he said, I don't. But he knows that since we have all these friends in common with these people, his post is going to go straight to the top. And now when we talk to Josh in a little bit about business and, using his own marketing techniques in this, you're going to know why he's crushing, moving these things
branding,
throughout the world,
marketing.
right? It's totally branding and it's marketing. But, that's one aspect of guerrilla marketing that guys could be using. Let's take it back to, we did this in Black Bear, and we really changed Black Bear overnight. We used to get in fights with ownership over how to execute something, and me and Josh were a little bit of tech nerds to some extent. Yeah, still are, bro. And also, with that being said, did they die on you, Just? With that being said, we had all of the phone numbers that the Black Bear girls used to run around with and take phone numbers from people that were in the club. This is an old, 2000 Black Bear
He's talking about when he sold
technique.
sex.
Well, girls would be hired. They'd run around with clipboards, and they would wind up saying, hey, you want a free happy hour? Put your name on this clipboard.
I
and
mean,
we'll
in
call
that capacity, though, that's exactly what they were
No,
doing.
I understand.
So they've now gotten, I think, 6,000 phone numbers over all the years of people here in Black Bear. And we said, let's take those phone numbers, let's put them into an Excel sheet, and let's automate the texting for these happy hours to go out. That way we don't have to sit there for hours on end and actually manually call these people and say, hey, do you want a free happy hour?
Yeah.
And instead, whoever shows up, shows up. So all of a sudden, the first night that we did that, there was a line out the door. We were definitely past max capacity.
If I'm correct, was that it was a Friday night? It was either a Friday or a Thursday. And I remember you fronted your own money on this because ownership was so against it, which I still to this day couldn't understand because that's just something that you could, it's cutting out the labor. Once you automate something, it's just going to make everything that much more streamlined, you know? And I had to remember, I think you put in like a couple bucks, I don't know, 20, 50 bucks towards that, maybe more. I don't know. Anyway, and I remember that night we were slammed and we were busier earlier on. And that in turn carried us through the night. Because the funny thing about that establishment that we used to work at was that we used to make probably about 80% of our total take between the hours of 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. at minimum. And it's still nuts when I think about it, and especially when you consider numbers. What we were making in the kitchen was literal peanuts. I remember at one point or another, ownership was thinking of just cutting out the kitchen completely, or just
the bar.
or just expanding the dining room to add more seats and cutting back on the menu just because it wasn't making us any money.
But legally, we had to have a kitchen, so we couldn't really just cut out the kitchen by any means. Like it wasn't an option to do that. But these are just things where, for example, somebody's set in one specific way and they don't want to take a gamble and try a different way that might actually put more money in their pockets. Where now we're going through this process where restaurants are going to be reinvented. Bars are certainly going to be reinvented. And now's the time, I think, to kind of experiment a little bit and try all these different variations or techniques that we could do to get more business in here or shift the way a party actually runs.
I think a lot of it is just like realizing the importance of data, because like what you guys said is you had these phone numbers that you're using for free happy hours or whatnot, but then you ended up using them to just get more people in the bar, and that's exactly what companies use our data for anyway. Like,
absolutely.
Data is the biggest business in the world right now. So if you have the data, just figure out different ways to repurpose it,
Totally.
Speaking of data, I just like to say that because we're not really talking about data at all, but I wanted to transition to something. Going back to some of the guerrilla tactics and marketing and going back on social media, I've noticed, okay, you guys know what the Giphies are, right? Like when you put your story on Instagram. No, the Giphy.
It's a GIF.
Yeah.
It's Giphy, right? No, it's a Giphy.
No, yes.
Yeah, no, I know what you're speaking of. GIPHY. Yes. I'm very happy you said
Exactly.
Giphy, not
Jiffy.
Jiffy.
That's peanut butter.
Because
It's Jiffy.
No. It's really not, though. It's really not.
Jiffy's peanut butter.
How do you say Jif peanut butter? Like, how do you say that?
Jiff.
Okay, but that's with a J, right?
Yeah.
So then why is...
I don't know. To his credit, how do you say giraffe?
all right.
Just giraffe.
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 But it's,
Not to get into semantics, but we understand that GIF, GIF, all right?
yes.
J, that you know what that stands for, right, guys?
Graphics interchange format.
Thank you. How do you spell graphics? It's not giraffics. And we've identified who the sociopath is. Here's your microphone.
Continue.
Anyway, the Giphy can be found on Snapchat stories, Instagram stories, etc. Basically, anywhere you can apply these tactics. When they first came out, it was very limited. Was kind of weird looking. It
wasn't streamlined at all.
It wasn't streamlined.
Yeah.
You never really made sense with what you wanted to. You almost had to like search for something that was anywhere close to the relevant whatever was going on in the story, just to have something fun moving around. I'm not even sure what the actual purpose of it other than just something moving on the screen. I don't know if you can search a Giphy or whatever, or if that pushes up some trends or something like that. I don't know. But I have noticed in the last month or two, like I said, when I first started, it was weird, and then it got into branding. Some of the bigger brands had these Giphies. Like you would look up a Margaritaville, and they had a bunch for Margaritaville.
Yeah.
McDonald's, whatever. The big brands had them.
Can I just pause it real quick before you continue into it? There's some owners that might be listening to this that are in their 50s, they're 45,
completely lost.
and they're just like, what are you idiots
What are these
talking about?
words?
I would never market using any of this shit. But
need to.
important to know is, yes, you're not paying attention to it. You don't care about it, but your youthful customer is, and that's going to bring more people in the door that you don't have. Continue, Just.
Right.
Sorry.
So within the last month to 2 months, I've noticed a lot more smaller brands are showing up in the Giphy profile and using them on their stories. So you'll see a local ice cream company, Bona Bona, for example, Nikki and Scotty, they put up their story and you see Nikki like holding a scoop of ice cream on the thing, like going on like that. So they have it. I'm drawing a blank on anywhere else that I've seen it, but I know I've seen local guys using it. I was like, oh, I know that guy. He's got a little Giphy thing, whatever.
That's how you know you really make it, is when there's a Giphy.
When you get
of
a
you.
Giphy, you're for real.
That's it. That's it.
So
you got one yet?
I'm working on it.
We're working on it.
No joke. I will have a Giphy because I don't like that other people have it, and I'm like, no. I need to have this. I need to figure it out. But I'm not sure what it's worth. Is like we were talking about branding before, knowing like your brand and stuff like that. Does it make sense to put money into this Giphy program that when you make a post or story, you can throw your brand behind it in a Giphy instead of using something else, to kind of push it? And are people going to recognize that?
So the funny thing about that, so quick tangent before I get into it. So a buddy of mine that bought into like a tequila company, I had gotten a lot of bottles off of him, and he had told me, oh, hey, listen, if you're going to go ahead and promote, just go ahead and just look on the GIFs or the Giphies, and you'll see all of our stuff.
Just throw it on there.
And just throw it on there. Yeah. He had said also that he had done a lot of the work with trying to get that launched, and I don't know exactly how he did it, but like it worked. And once I saw it following like a couple of hashtags and a couple other people, they had used it. Like, and it's kind of like the, how can I put it? I guess if this is a culture, meme culture, how people will go ahead and like, all right, perfect example, like SpongeBob. It's a stupid kids cartoon, but like,
everyone knows those SpongeBob memes.
But the first 4 seasons, if you were to go back and watch them, not saying that I have, but I've had a lot of free time on my hands.
It's okay.
And I watch SpongeBob. I'm almost 30 years old. I watch SpongeBob. If you want to unfollow me, that's fine. Now,
virgin alert.
Now, with that being said, it's like it beckons the question. Just like, okay, now you have instant, like people like recognize this no matter what. Is there a dollar amount to that? And if so, how much can you monetize off of it? What can you make? And honestly, what was that? What was that show that everyone was going crazy about at the start of quarantine? I didn't watch an episode. It was about the
Tiger King.
There we go. You see, I didn't even need to
watch
say
it, but I knew.
But I know the memes.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, when these companies are putting together these packages of like, okay, this show is about to hit, what really funny parts can we push that are going to become a meme so their internet, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, whatever site is just going to take it and just go crazy for it. Or for example, TikTok. You guys just started TikTok too, right?
Yep, absolutely. Because there's so many eyes on it. You got it. We do stupid stuff on TikTok too. It's not brand relevant at all. Like I'm literally doing a dance on one of them. I don't even know how to dance.
But we don't sell sex, right?
Not that kind of dance. It's not that kind of dance.
But it's just one of those things.
You mentioned there's like a Carol Baskin song on TikTok that went viral.
Yeah, exactly. And that went viral. And I'm sure that when they looked at things, okay, did they set that song up? Or is that just an influencer who just thought, hey, you know what's really in right now? Carol Baskin. Fucking Baskin.
I think the real importance of those Giphies or anything to that matter is brand continuity.
Absolutely.
Throughout. Right, so if you hit them up with, you go through those hashtags and you're hitting up all these things and you're getting everybody and they get to search you, they don't get. I'm not using a foreign GIF or Giphy on my stuff where it confuses the brand. I'm using mine. So all you get is
reinforces the brand.
Mine.
Yeah.
And to go back to even some more guerrilla tactics, I've noticed in the last month since people start walking back out and are around town again, I've given out. Which is weird because I thought touch points was going to be a non-go kind of thing. Like no one would want to touch it.
Of course, yeah.
Although I guess this is just one touch point, so it's not being shared. We've given out more hard menus to people walking by in the street in the last month than probably the last year. There's been more people just, can I just grab a menu? I haven't seen this place before. Probably because the window's open and we're more apparent on the street just the way we were setting up. I haven't seen this place. Can I get a menu to take with you? I've given out more of those in the last month than in the last year for sure, in that way, right? And I think when they go back and they search and they come back around and or if they search online, they see those things, you get that brand continuity and you have like a solid brand all around. It's all just those points where you search. So as long as you're covered on every little thing, then makes sense.
One of the main bar rules too are that crowds bring crowds. So now where everybody's stuck waiting for their food out on the street, it's a spectacle for those passing by to say, that place actually has a lot of people out there. Should I be checking that out? I've never seen it before. I never stopped there before.
Right.
But now look, everyone else is doing it. I should also jump off the bridge.
Right.
You know what I mean? and that's really a rule too. At our bars,
I was the first one off the bridge, by the way.
You were.
It's a side story if you want to get into it, but
He did it before it was cool, guys.
Yeah, but it's true in the bar that we use things like buybacks to keep people in their seat a little bit longer because real estate really matters, and you don't ever want to have empty real estate. It's ugly at the end of the day, and psychologically, when somebody passing by and they see all these empty seats, they're like, the party's not here. I should go somewhere else.
no one wants to be the first guy in the restaurant.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody wants to be like the first person in the bar because that's when you reflect like, man, I shouldn't be here. I know it's 11 a.m.,
It's
but
early.
I should not be here. I mean, yeah, I'll cut some limes, whatever.
You always get that comment, first one here, huh? Like something like that. Or,
You just feel a little awkward. A little awkward.
Yeah, at that point is like, have a seat, please.
So let's introduce Josh. A lot of people regionally over here and small regionally in this area of New York, Westchester, they know this guy Josh as McLovin, and it's actually kind of comical because he sort of does look like McLovin.
A little bit.
Don't start it up. I am a literal almost stunt double.
It's ridiculous. By the way, take the vest off. You look like Aladdin.
just
Oh, I
like
can take it off
maybe
now.
maybe a little bit taller, but other than that,
And a couple pounds. Thanks, stupid virus that we won't name.
So
you got the quarantine 15, huh?
I almost
Easily.
I wanted to say McLovin. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say Josh.
Speaking of putting on pounds, anybody need a Sloop juice bomb before we get into it?
We can do a sloop juice.
Take a juice bomb.
I could also. That would be fantastic. Hold on. Go grab that, and I'll talk to Josh in the meantime. For those that don't know, Josh is really the guy regionally that came up out of a commercial bar restaurant, right? Let's call it spades. This is how we all come up a lot of times too. And he came up in this bar as a bartender that wanted more and more and more. And then one day, this guy came knocking on the door, and what'd you say? You came knocking at the door at the bar we used to work at, and you said...
I just froze awkwardly as I did, and you guys kind of just hired me. Funny.
I didn't actually say anything.
I didn't actually say anything, but they were like, "Hey, you want to do stuff?" Funny story about that. Actually, I was just in a rut. I was about 24 or so. I was working in corporate bars, restaurants, with nothing wrong with that at all. But I just felt as though, I can do more. I can be better. Let me challenge myself. So I went to our local hotbed, White Plains, which has a strip, Mamaroneck Avenue, which has in a thank you, which has in a
Thank you.
About a block. How many bars would we say? About a dozen bars or so. About
Easily a dozen.
easily a dozen. So I had went up there every single day for a week, begging for a job.
You went to the same spot every day for a week?
I went to the same spot at almost the exact same time. I had went to
You know why he went back? He knows why you go back. Because you go back. You go back.
Go back. Thanks, Paul.
Because you go
Shout out to Paul.
So I remember this clear as day. So on the fifth day, and I was kind of running late for my Friday shift, which was not awesome, but whatever. On the last day, and I actually had an interview at a bar across the road that actually ended up shutting down, the one that was on the corner.
the other barbecue place.
Oh, the other guy.
Oh, those guys.
Those guys.
Those guys. We don't talk about them. But yeah, I had an interview with them. It went awful. And so this particular place where I had gotten hired, where Jay and I had met, I had walked in, it started snowing. I'm like, okay, this is a sign. It's either I need to get the hell out of here or this is going to happen. I pull in and I see the exact same bartender who is now enjoying retirement over in Ireland. Shout outs to Niall, if you're probably not hearing this, but enjoying retirement out in Ireland.
You never know, but this is an international show.
This is an international
one
show.
listener in China.
We got one guy. All right, now we're gonna have another guy in Ireland. It's a slow roll. And on the last day, again, he had saw me 5 days straight, and there was also one woman that was sitting at the bar. It turned out that woman was the owner's wife. And so she kind of vouched for me like this kid is coming in every single day, just pounding your door down.
And you go back.
Yeah. And
That reference is from the episode that we spoke to Paul of Pax Romana, and he told the story about how his mother told him if he wants something, perseverance, you go back. Sorry.
And so, yeah, I had gotten the job on that last day. It was a 2-minute interview, and he had also cited, oh, by the way, I noticed that you worked at this other place that had a mechanical bull. He wanted to do it, pick my brain about how it worked, and he also said that, following on social media, I like what you're doing. You start on Sunday. I was like, all right, cool, no problem. And that's when I met Jay very awkwardly. And funny story about that. He was training me with another buddy of ours, Diego. And I remember later on, we eventually became, I guess, friends or at least coworkers enough. It's like, yeah, here's my social media. We got to tag each other as our side work. Silly. And I scroll back, and lo and behold, Jay puts up a status. Working at night with my buddy Diego and this awkward kid. Hashtag not going to last. And then I outlasted him. So funny story.
And this
That's
awkward kid.
awesome.
That is funny.
When you're in that fast-paced type of bar environment, and it is its own beast of a business model, you see bartenders come in, and especially if they're guys and they're not there at the right time in the right spot, guys don't get invited back. The girls keep getting invited back.
Yep.
And what I told him specifically that night was, hey, kid, I was like, don't get your hopes up.
You said don't get comfortable. Literally, I remember that because I was grabbing a pint glass, and as I was flipping it and I did some little bullshit flair, literally almost on cue, don't get comfortable, kid.
And it is really true, too, though, in a lot of senses. I thought I was going to be fired and lose my job like 100 times in this spot.
It only happened 3 times?
But that's the type of environment that you're in, where you're having 5 a.m., 6 a.m. drinks with all the owners, and you get into a verbal dispute. Next thing you know, it's don't come back tomorrow, and then you get a phone call the next morning. Are you showing up today for the shift? And that's that. But, Josh is somebody that was always very pay attention to detail and understand how things work, and not just, hey, do what I'm told. It was, why do we do it this way? Or why is it done in a specific manner? And he thrives in that environment, learning how to actually do something, which at the end of the day, what you want to do essentially down the road is own a bar. And, we spoke to Dano and James of The Blind Pig a few months back too. And they were essentially what you were at that point. A guy just stacking some money, getting ready to open up a place. You're working on concepts and ideas all the time. And you'll get there. And I think that the more people learn along the way and the more that they keep on saying why are things done, that shows the characteristics of somebody that's going to get there.
Yeah, definitely big shout out to Dano and James, because they are essentially doing what I would want to do and what a lot of us that just really want to strive for, is to just go into business for yourself. I remember I actually had a couple drinks at their bar, the Blind Pig of Westchester, in White Plains, and again, it was a bit later, getting close to last call territory, and I remember I had told them, like, guys, you know what, like, I'm really happy, I'm really proud of you guys. I hope to one day be there. And I just remember, James just looking at me. He's like, man, just listen, just put your head down, focus, be good about your financials, and you're gonna get there. And I remember that was just like a real nice kind of like vote of confidence. You know what I mean? But they're doing it. They have a very unique concept that's very forward thinking and just very new here. And on social media, they've just been killing it as far as their service, their cocktail program. Those guys are really doing it up. They're really making a lot of noise over there.
Reiterate why that's different than what we're seeing.
So in Westchester...
That's episode 7, by the way, if anybody wants to go back.
If anyone want to go back and check it out.
Episode 7. Yeah. I just looked it up.
So, what was I saying?
Reiterate why that's
Why the
different
Blind
in
Pig is
Westchester.
important for Westchester.
So for those that don't know, with the area, there are a lot of cookie cutter sort of establishments, and just people are sticking to like what's safe. And I understand that.
By cookie cutter, he meant safe.
Yeah. A lot of people are sticking to kind of
I
what's
mean, he
safe.
just explained that.
He did. He literally just said that.
everybody's thinking to what's safe and what works, and I completely understand that, considering that you're forwarding all this money and the overhead around here is insane. So I get why businesses choose to just appeal to the biggest audience possible, but as anything evolves, oftentimes there's going to be a certain level of stagnation that kind of gets settled in. So, for example, like, and White Plains is kind of, I feel, maybe, it's maybe arguable, it's kind of going through a little bit of a renaissance, and that you have a bunch of newer places that are trying to push what restaurants are forward. Pax Romana, they're making fresh pasta. They were doing pasta classes, were they?
Yeah, and I think this happens in almost every town, though, because we're on the verge.
That was episode 10.
I listened to it on the car over here.
We're on the verge, though, of restaurants and bars doing different things than what they were always used to. You have all the younger generation coming in and opening new establishments with new, fresh ideas, and they understand what their peers want and desire. So it's not just White Plains. It's anywhere in the corners of the U.S. or all around the world that new types of environments are starting to pop up, and people are going, oh my God, this is refreshing. Oh, it's new. Oh, they're doing things with quality. I want to be there, you know?
That being said,
What's that?
that was the sound of me putting down one of these.
So McLovin brought us these fancy
McNutties.
little treats.
It's a party gift.
It is a party gift. Why don't you tell us what we got? We got 5 little bottles of something.
Yeah, so it's 12 ounces of goodness. They are frozen sort of like mocktail slushies.
Oh, awesome. And they got this cool little sticker on them, branding.
Yeah, shout outs to Instagram, the Black Bob Ross. That's a buddy of mine. Well, yeah, great name, by the way.
Awesome name.
He has a YouTube channel where he's essentially kind of just kind of showing how to paint, like a whole process.
Does he have an afro?
He does not, but I believe he's working on it. Considering circumstances, I haven't seen him in about 3 months, so,
Okay, so
I
maybe
wouldn't be
now.
surprised
Maybe
if he has
now.
one
Yeah,
now. He did our logo just completely on a whim. I didn't even reach out to him. I had spoken to him here and there, maybe tagging him in a meme or just catching up with a buddy.
Did he try the product and then show you the logo?
No.
Bob Ross, actually, his afro was
He's
pretty
a
on point.
prolific afro.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that was the time. That was like guys having undercuts in 2015, or me still having a mohawk for some reason. But he just sent me this graphic, and I loved it. Like he just did it. I got time.
Yeah.
Here you go. Hope you like it. And that has been like, if there's one thing that I can definitely say, like a before and after, there's a huge difference on. It's definitely the branding, and I've never been the type to ever really buy into a brand. I've always been more of a substance versus a style kind of guy. But with that, and like through what you learn just through kind of like attempting to build a social media site, I realized that branding is very important.
Absolutely.
So where did the idea for these bad boys come from? Because you've played with a lot of different side projects, and the Instagram kind of followed that. Like every once in a while, there's a new Instagram that Josh is running. One of my favorites was the bar banter one.
Oh boy!
Yeah, that was.
I'm not aware of these. I only knew.
You never saw the bar banter one?
No.
Oh, that was good. That was good. That was good.
Before though, like before we talk about these nutties, like we gotta go deep into what these are and how they come about.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, where's the idea? Like, where were you just like, you were sitting there and you're like, I'm gonna
we're
make
all fucked.
nutties.
We're bartenders. We're fucked right now. Nobody's coming back in our bars for some time. Everything's got to change. Unemployment money is going to run out, and what do you do at that point?
Yeah, this is one of those things that where this idea, and again, I will never say that this was a unique idea. This was birthed deep in the lore of New York City, which is a really, really funny place. And so what's synonymous with kind of New York City culture in a way is these kind of to-go beverages called Nutcrackers, or for short, Nutties.
Shout out to Dominicans everywhere that birthed this in '94.
The one time that I guess I'll gladly give a shout out to Orchard Beach in the Heights.
This is like a thing of the summer. This is synonymous with summertime.
Yeah, this is synonymous with New York City summertime. If you were to search, let's say on YouTube, who's the guy that makes drinks? Tipsy Bartender.
Yeah.
That guy. But again,
I agree.
Listen, it's a guy that just has the platform, built it, and that's when like YouTube and like
props
was
to
really
platform
coming
and
up.
building.
Yeah, and building, and so
Content.
content and algorithms and smashing the like button.
Man, that's my line. This will be the last time you're on this show.
Sorry. I'm in and I'm out. And so that idea was birthed from that. And so given the current state of the world, just these kind of to-go mocktails frozen just in time for the summer, it really took off in
Just
ways
trying
that
to
I
keep
was...
people refreshed and at home.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it.
I got to say that the packaging is perfect for it too, because it reminds me of quarter waters.
And that's,
Back in the day?
that's the other thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a little bit of nostalgia.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, quarter waters, nice!"
And that's another reason why I wanted to go with the container like that, because it's just one of the things that harkens back to, like, fonder memories.
Yep.
And if you're and the weird thing is, they say that with this generation, like, we eat up nostalgia like nothing. That's why they've remade Spider-Man 20 times. they have Ninja Turtles back, and they're rehashing all these things because they could literally sell us the exact same thing,
People just eat it up.
and we just kind of eat it up. I'm a liar if I say that I haven't bought the same version of Legend of Zelda over the past 5 years. Whatever, it's my money.
Well, I do it. I do it to share with my kids now.
And that's another thing too, right?
Because it hits. That's probably the thinking behind it too. Because like my generation, what did you guys have?
Yeah.
Just like you said, Ninja Turtles, quarter waters.
Thundercats.
I'm not sharing these quarter waters with my kids, but
Don't
all
get him
these things.
confused with Deacon's quarter water,
Right?
because he's going to be out.
Yeah. But then I'm like, okay, Ninja Turtles, and I can say to my kids, I watched Ninja Turtles when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Let's watch this together. So you get that recycle. Plus, most of today's stuff is trash anyway. So
Yeah, let's be honest.
majority
Like the new wave animation of stuff, like, not to sound like the old fart that says, like, man, things were a lot
the
better.
'90s
back
were
then,
the
but
greatest decade ever. I don't care what anybody says.
all the way around on the whole. I wouldn't say necessarily for music, because I can't stand like 90s pop. I'm gonna say it. It's fine. I can't.
I don't think
I'm not
anybody's
an
gonna
advocate
argue.
for '90s pop.
Nobody's going to argue with that. Especially nobody at this table.
It was very confused looks, guys, by the way. I didn't know if I was going to get jumped on or if it was just like, all right, that's your opinion, whatever. Now I'm inviting you back anyway.
Except for NSYNC. I'm not gonna lie.
In sync?
I got rocked to NSYNC, dude.
man.
JT's the man.
Okay, all right. You
teach his
struck
own.
me as a Backstreet Boys kind of guy.
No,
but
definitely not. NSYNC all the way.
In this marketing, and you know what, we should probably throw one of these stamps into the show cover just so it could be seen. In this marketing, what he's done with what we call these quarter waters, what it is, somebody out west is going to be like, yo, did you hear how this guy just said water? I caught that. That on top of the Sloop juice bomb. Fantastic. What he did with the marketing, though, on this thing was just creating a logo for the McNutties, as he calls them. And that logo, it's always the most simple, plain things that stand out the most. Look at the Smokehouse logo. That's exactly what we did. Was we just said, let's just simplify it, and we'll make it so everyone sees that and they know what it is everywhere.
Actually, I remember going through like 30 different versions with different pictures. Like, we're going to use a pig, we can do this and that. And then last I was like, I'll just draw SH real quick.
We just need 2 letters and a line.
That's it.
Done. And that really stands out at the end of the day. So this logo that he's using is an illustration of his big head. And it literally just looks, if you saw it and you didn't know what it was, you'd be like, oh, somebody put McLovin on the front of this drink and that's it. That's it.
That's it.
I scrolled through social media over the weekend. We had a beautiful weekend here in New York, and I certainly saw
You just kept
these
seeing the
come
little
up
McNutties pop up.
in beautiful photos, and they weren't even from you. They were from people that I don't even know that you know that I know.
Yo,
I don't even know how I know them.
They were freaking everywhere.
Agree.
Because I told Josh the
Yeah.
other day when I was talking to him, before I even knew that he was doing it, like before I even caught it on his Instagram, I saw them pop up on other people's Instagram, and I knew it was his because I saw the face.
There's no denying the ugly face.
I saw the face, and I was like, I know exactly who that is. I don't even have to think about
I
it.
know that guy. I know that guy.
That's what's so awesome about him, because it's a nice product, it's good, and it's like, it's flashy. People see it, they remember it, and they just know what to look for.
Actually, your Instagram might have been the first place I saw it. Yeah.
As soon as I saw they're available, I was like, Josh, I need this. I need these.
Circle. I was gonna say, just circle that back to. I know you're not asking people to take photos of this and tag you in it and put your name in it, but I know you're appreciative of such. But take any restaurant, for example, that is looking for reviews to come in of the restaurant. It's as simple as having your server maybe walk over to the table and saying, hey guys, did you enjoy your time today? If you have a second later, feel free to check out Yelp or whatever you're reviewing on to help us out as a place to fortify the fact that we're doing things right here. And that's all you need to do is ask somebody to simply do something as maybe a favor to the business, and they'll go,
I get what you're
"Okay."
saying, but I mean, it feels a little sleazy to ask for it.
You
know?
can't be too prideful you can't.
Yeah,
It's a little sleazy if you have to ask for
It's
it.
not real. It's not real if you have to ask for it. And that goes back to what we were talking about with the guerrilla marketing. Somebody random, like we were talking about, not a sponsored influencer or a sponsored read. If someone random just throws your product up on their Instagram, they actually enjoyed it. Because
Exactly.
I'm not going to share anything on my page that I
That you don't really care
garbage
about.
unless I'm
Absolutely.
saying it's garbage.
You got to believe in it. You don't want to lead people down like, oh, hey, by the way, go to this person, and then it's
I never go to a restaurant, take a picture of a meal, and post it if I hated the meal.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't even
Unless you
remember.
did hate the meal and you want to tell
But
people
I'll
about
say it.
Yeah.
Like, yo, this was straight trash. Like, whatever.
I understand what you're saying completely. I understand it feels fraudulent, but some people need the extra push.
No, I get
At
that.
the
I
end
get
of the
that.
day, any single corporate restaurant that you've ever worked at would go, hey, we're doing a competition this week. How many people could get blah, blah, blah reviews coming in?
Well, so
And
it's different if you phrase it like a competition, though. If you
Yeah.
tell people like they
Yeah,
have
it's
something
irrelevant
to
to a
gain out of it.
competition. No. The person eating has nothing to gain. They're going to go on with their lives.
No, but I'm
fuck
saying
the
if you give
restaurant,
people
they
like an
care less.
incentive to post or to make a review or something like that, then that's different. Other than you saying, "Hey, if you liked your meal, go post something about us." You know what I mean?
Well,
you're giving
not
people
post,
a reason
but
to
just,
do it.
Hey, drop a review. Tell people how you feel if you feel. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. And most people don't, but you get many more people that do that would not have otherwise.
Well, the biggest thing that I've realized since I had started this sort of since I had launched this product is that I've realized just through social media, people just want to naturally be helpful. Mm-hmm. So I found that a lot of people just go ahead, will tag the page, I'll reshare the page, and I always try and just have a little bit of a genuine conversation with them. Aside from, hey, Justin, I heard you, blah, 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 blah. One of the automated messages.
It's like, hey, I heard you just bought one of my nutties.
Yeah.
Would you take a picture of it?
Yeah, would you take a picture of it and be entered and we give away $1,000 in Nutcrackers every single... No.
That's not what I was implying.
No, I understand that. But it's just one of those things that, the biggest thing is you just got to come off as a person.
Yeah.
And I use that kind of, what I've learned from my 8 years behind the bar is just to honestly, people just want to know that you're genuine. And if somebody goes ahead and they ask you about, let's say, something, a weaker product that may be on your menu, there's ways that you can kind of say, hey, listen, maybe you may prefer this or that. Not saying that this is the wrong choice,
But just be honest with them.
But just be honest with them. And oftentimes I have a lot of people that just tell me straight up, I appreciate your honesty. Yeah. What would you get? What do you have here? And with these Nutcrackers, I always just try to have as much of a genuine conversation with I don't want to even call them clientele because you already know Jay, you already know the culture.
Yeah.
You got to call them guests. Don't call them clientele. Don't call them customers.
Well, Jay calls them clientele. Jay calls them
Depending on which mode he's
I would
in.
think a lot of the people that are calling you, though, are your peers at the end of the day that are happy enough to go, hey, I want some of these. Can you send them my way, bro?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also on the other end, I've met so many people just randomly.
I was about to say, how many random requests do you get?
I would honestly say in a day, especially in the beginning, because I'm just starting, so most of everybody's going to be random.
That's true.
But I'm lucky enough in that I've been bartending in this county in various towns for my entire 8-year stint. So I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of the drinking crowd. So with that being said, I can definitely say probably about 40% of my clientele are people that I've never met before, but I will kind of go through their social media. Okay, Who do you know? Maybe
Make sure they're cool first.
yeah, in a way.
So just to show how that works, I shared a picture of all these on the table.
Yeah.
Just a news picture back in the podcast, back in the studio with the drinks.
Yeah.
One of my friends just slid in my DMs. Where can I get one of those things? And I sent him your profile. So there's guerrilla marketing working for you.
And
add to that 40% right there.
I'm cutting them in under the table, guys. All right, so.
It's funny.
No, but it's just one of those things. And it's also kind of like the fear of missing out, because if you see all of your buddies, all of your peers that have this new thing, or there's a new place that is a brunch spot okay, let's go.
We gotta go check out some
Yeah,
merch
we're
over there.
going to go check it out. And then you're always going to trust your buddy's sort of judgment with things.
For sure.
Go, but okay, this was a little much or this or that. Then you're going to go into it with like, okay, not the anxiety of going into a whole new place.
Yeah, you're gonna go into it knowing what you're gonna get.
Kind of knowing that I'm going to go for the steak and eggs.
So how long did it take for this to take off? Are we calling it? Did it take? Are we saying it took off now? Do you want to say that? Are you comfortable?
It's definitely. I
think so.
If I could put a definition to it, as far as taking off, as far as I could define it as simply as this. I would consider that it's kind of taking off when I'm reaching the point where I would need to have other people involved. Again, the workload has always been, very manageable, especially considering that we've all kind of been in this weird circumstance. So it's all been very manageable, and I've steadily reached a point where I've been able to handle everything pretty coolly and calmly. But probably about a month and a half ago
I need help.
Yeah, was when I was reaching the point where it's like, man, this is nuts. So I deliver. So our delivery area, which is very
Massive.
which is very ambitious, is within about a 15-20 mile radius.
That's wide.
That's that's big. So luckily enough on our end, I guess if you could call this fortunately, there's been an incredible lack of traffic for reasons, unfortunately, but there's been an incredible lack of traffic. So there's been some days where I needed to go up towards White Plains, then I need to go right back down to the Bronx off of Boston Post Road. Then I got to go to Yonkers by the waterfront. Now I got to go to Elmsford, and all those places don't have a direct sort of a highway. Yeah. So with that, I need to go all the way around the county and the borough to get to where I need to be at. But I would say probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago is when I was reaching that point where it was like, oh man, I need some help.
How many stops do you think you make in an average day?
Let's just say he called me and he goes, thinking about buying a beater car.
Actually, I have been on Craigslist, and I do this a lot. I started off, and even now I'm a very avid car enthusiast, and I'm almost always window shopping for something, And I've reached that point where I could just use a little. And I actually polled people, and we decided on Nutbus versus Nutmobile. And I think Nutbus is going to be better because there's the other. There's the Bang one. What do they do?
The Bang one.
What do they do? It's not fireworks. Whatever. Those guys. So I'm hoping that through people erroneously searching that hey, you know what? I can go ahead and get some people coming in. Yeah.
Well, I wanted something else, but I'm thirsty too.
But whatever, I'm thirsty, and I'm not even upset at this. I could definitely use a mocktail. But where the fuck was I?
He was asking you how many
stops.
In a day, and I remember my craziest day was Cinco de Mayo, and that's also when I reached out to a buddy of mine, and my buddy that I said had owned had bought into a tequila brand, and he added all those Giphies and GIFs or GIFs. Wow, GIFs. It's GIFs.
Is that just feeding into his point that you naturally said Jiffy though? Yeah.
I know. I want to smack him because I know that smirk. I'm all too familiar with the J smirk or the J snarl. With that being said, that particular day, I had made probably about 32 individual stops.
Jesus Christ.
On a busy Saturday, I'll probably get 22 to 24. But I have loyal clientele that are in completely opposite parts of the world. I have a lot of loyal clientele in White Plains, a lot of loyal people on Boston Post Road. There's a neighborhood in Yonkers that I sell to, which is right off of Central. And the funny thing about that is, so that's an old regular of mine. Dropped off a couple to her. She gave it to her mother and her father and her uncle. That literally started it. And then now, anytime I go to that neighborhood, you would think I was
all those stops.
You would think I was like the fucking ice cream man. I show up, and here's the thing: I'm not playing a really nice jingle. I'm normally playing really technical Swedish death metal. And the funny thing is that they show up. Which, by the way, quick tangent: I found out that there is a black metal band that are all gays, that are all homosexuals. They all have names like neo-Nazis need to die, all this other nonsense.
What's the name of the band?
And this is the best part of it. The name of the band is Gaylord.
Okay.
And they're huge in Europe. And if you're going to search them up,
huge in Europe.
Yeah. Anyway,
If you couldn't tell, Josh is big on metal, and he's been big on metal. You could probably see him at any local concert that you attend.
yeah, I'm literally here wearing a Misfit shirt, which is the best thing to come out of Jersey. Don't argue with me because Bruce Springsteen is terrible. I'm going to say it.
That's it. That's all Jersey has for them. That's
it, right? But yeah, with that being said, so funny story about that family. So funny enough, that family, I had gotten all their phone numbers. I had went on one run to the Bronx, and I was in Country Club and Pelham Bay, which is like right over the bridge. Okay, I make one delivery run, and I had like 6 stops in this delivery run. I went to one stop. Okay, here's the money for everyone else. One of them's a birthday, but can you go here last? So I go there. Happy birthday! Drop off flyers. Here's this. Thank you very much. I go to the last stop. I recognize the stop. It's on Crosby in the Bronx. I pull up and I'm like, I remember this block. I literally grew up on that block. My father's best friend grew up on that block, and the car enthusiast thing, my father and his best friend are also very avid car enthusiasts. The house that I had delivered to, all right, my father sold his Camaro to that person. Okay.
So you showed up at that house?
So I showed up at that house, and it was funny. Like, I knock on the door. Oh yeah, hey, such and such sent me. Here you go. Thank you very much. And she looks at me, and this is actually my second time there. And I just said, you know what, fuck it. And I was just like, I grew up actually here. I was playing with like the kids that like grew up on this neighborhood. I don't know if your neighbor by the name of this, the lady like looked like she wanted to hear. Oh my God, wait. Your neighbor. Okay, his wife was this name. His name is this. He has 2 kids. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So it turns out, unfortunately, it's kind of like a sad story, but the gentleman that purchased the Camaro off of my father, he passed away a year ago. He had a heart attack. So like this woman like hugged me. It was like, oh my God, I remember you. I know I never really remember your name, but it's such a small world. Yeah. And it was just like one of those things that I was just like, wow, like I actually kind of feel like fulfilled. Like this is really nice. Called up my father, like immediately got in the car, was like, Dad, what do you want? I'm driving. Dad, listen. And I told him the story. He goes, oh, yeah, that's such and such. Really sad story. He's like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. And so, funny enough, I've actually texted that woman kind of like here and there, asked her about the car and everything. They're putting it together in like, remembrance of him. Yeah. So it's just funny how like through just running like a little, I don't know what to call it, a silly delivery service, just running a small delivery service like that, I ended up running across this woman in this family. Like it's crazy. It's a small world.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it's a really small world.
I think were the lessons that we take out of this. Do we take the lessons out of this that you can grow exponentially if you go back and you have persistence and you keep showing up with a product that somebody wants and you do something a little bit different and you take control of situations where, I mean, you're thriving right now too because other places are closed, right? So let's add that into the fact you'll probably still thrive afterwards. It's just a whole different world out here right now where if you're looking at where things are lacking and missing, you can fill in the cracks and really crush things, no?
Yeah, it's just one of those things too, kind of like with identifying the market because, again, considering circumstances, I have always been the type that, like, Jay, I work myself like to the bone. I'm always putting in hours. Not to say that like anybody else isn't, but like,
yo, McLovin, you want to come throw the frisbee? Nah, man, I gotta do all these deliveries. I gotta run around. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Okay, cool. Never mind.
Every time we say deliveries and he said ice cream truck, I can't stop picturing Shameless.
We spoke about that.
I can't stop picturing Shameless and ice cream truck. It's just like driving around.
Continue though. Definitely one of the hardest working dudes I know.
No, but yeah, with that being said, considering circumstances, I just thought immediately because, again, for a lot of us to go ahead and get through New York State unemployment was literally one of the biggest things. I put up a photo like at the ending of March. I called somewhere north of 700 times throughout a day to just attempt to get through.
To speak to somebody. And that didn't work. So immediately I'm like, all right, listen, like I got to do something. So I was like, all right, let me take a shot in the dark. I started off ordering 200 containers of these 12 ounces. I went through that. I was expecting that was going to last me a while. And I guess through like social media, I went through the 200 within a week. Triple the ordered 600, and then also introduced kind of like another product, which is a 32-ounce quart, a big boy. That lasted me 3 weeks, and then now I'm going through
probably north of 600 or 700 of these containers within about 5 days. Yeah, it's just
That's impressive.
So what's the future? Where is the next step?
I don't know, Just. What's the future? I got to. I don't know.
That's supposed to be like, I know we spoke about it already, but it was a leading question for you to know the answer,
I know.
not for me to know the answer.
It's when you reach like sort of a funny crossroads, you know, where when your hobby can potentially take over what you're doing professionally, what you're doing as just like, all right, I'm going to punch in. This is my work now. And you know what the future may hold. Maybe we can go ahead and move this product into some sort of storefront somehow or another. There are a lot of logistics about that, and I'm a very ignorant dropout, and I will wear that badge proudly. But it's just one of those things that this product, through the support of a lot of followers, I'm close to hitting 1,300 followers. When I started, I was at 200, and that's just a testament to just like all the support, which I'm just very grateful for. Like every single day, I'm still very surprised. Even the days when I tell myself, all right, I'm not really going to post up anything, I'd like to have a day off, I still have people hitting me up, and I have people texting me, and it's just a true testament to like, support. And with that, I'm always going to be grateful for sure. But hopefully the future, we can move this product into a storefront, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, good talk, guys. See you out there.
Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button.
Algorithm.
Stole it from him like that.
That's more of a very forcible steal.
Don't forget to smash that like and
Smash the
subscribe
like button for the YouTube algorithm. I mean, for the whatever algorithm, Spotify algorithm. Share with your friends. Tag at Jay Brooks. At Nooms with 3 O's and a Z.
2 O's, 2 Z's, man.
2 O's, 2 Z's. Get it right. It's for the algorithm.
Do you want to finalize one?